Hello my friends. So as promised, I'm doing a video on the steps, and I'm going to start off today to talk briefly about why I practice the steps. So there are 12 steps, and you may have heard of 12-step programs. Some of my friends are in 12-step programs and they understand them. Well, hopefully they understand them. And some of you may not have ever heard of a 12-step program, and maybe some of you have, and you have a misconception of what it's all about. The 12 steps comes from originally from a guy named Bill W. And he is the founder, one of the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they put together this program where a person can work on a serious problem they have, which is the inability to stop drinking. Well, I'm not in AA. I'm in another 12-step program, and I love the steps. I personally feel the steps can do so much more than just help people with serious problems. They are a formula. It's a series of things that you can do that basically lead to a given result, which is basically to grow spiritually, and grow emotionally, and grow even physically, and in terms of becoming healthier. And that's really what it's all about, is that the 12 steps is a formula on how to be healthy. Okay. If you were to sit down on a three-legged stool, if one of those legs were shorter than the other legs, you would probably fall over. Well, those three legs are the physical, your body, how healthy you are; emotionally, that's mentally, how well you are doing; and then there's the spiritual side, which is your relationship with a higher power, or your spiritual nature. However you would like to put that. It's interesting to me because in the beginning, when I first started working the steps, I really didn't understand them either. And then over time, I started realizing how much of a genius construction it was. Now, it's actually, Bill W. didn't actually come up with the core concepts of the steps. He actually took that from a different organization, which had, I believe, 6 or 7 steps to it, and it was very religious, from a very religious group of people. And he took it and adopted it for his purposes, and they came up with 12 steps. And these steps, when applied properly, can lead to miracles. That's the way I say it. If you don't like your situation today and you want to grow and you want a better life, okay, there are many, many paths to that. Maybe the solution for you is to actually create a real goal, and then create a plan to achieve that goal, and then go do it. But maybe things are more nebulous than that. You're just flat out just not feeling happy, maybe a little bit lonely, not understanding why people treat you the way they do, why things don't seem to work out well for you, and you really just want to be a better person, or have a better life, then really the steps are for you. They're not really just for people who can't seem to stop drinking, or eating, or drugging, or sexing, because typically the steps are applied to all those things. But the 12 steps are, like I said, are a formula for how to be healthy. That's really the best way to put it. So basically, the steps are set up in a way that will get you from where you are today to where you need to be later on down the road. And it's not something you just do once and you're done with. Instead, it's something that you practice every day. The first time you do it, it's a little bit, it's difficult. Let's just put it that way, because it's a lot of work on things that you probably have never thought about. What can I say? Even if you've had therapy, even if you've done, rehabs or any of those kinds of things that are out there that basically are so, introspective, you're not going to do the work that you would do the work with the 12 steps. The 12 steps is a very, very particular methodology. And if you follow this methodology, you're going to see real amazing changes in your life. I really can't, tell you more than that. The AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, has a book called AA. It's just called, we refer to it as the Big Book. And in this book, it talks about, the idea of the drunk, the person who's the alcoholic, and what they need to do in order to get sober and stay sober for the long term. And in fact, there are 12 steps, but there are promises throughout this book about what you will see as you get to various places. And pretty quickly, when you get to your third step, it starts describing things that you start feeling different about things. And then, by the time you get to the ninth step, there's a whole list of promises that will be starting to come true for you if you worked the steps through that point. And then, when you get to the 10th step, which basically says, okay, now take all this that you've done and just do it every day. And, and then there's some more promises in there. And one of the biggest promises is that what you've been doing, the thing that started you on this, is no longer going to be an issue for you. That's done. But we don't stop there, because really the 11th step is where we're going. That's the goal. The 11th step is all about creating a conscious contact with a higher power. The 12 steps is a spiritual formula. It is about creating a spiritual version of yourself and a spiritual identity, and connecting with some power that is greater than yourself. So, like I said, there's that three-legged stool, and if one leg is shorter than the other, you're just going to fall over. So you got your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual, and they're all equally as important. You want those things to be healthy, all of them. You want them all to be healthy. And so we start off in the beginning by admitting that things aren't as good as they could be. And then when we get to the 11th step, we start realizing, that, by having this conscious contact with a power greater than ourselves and truly trusting in the universe, our universe, it's extraordinary how all of a sudden, when we look back, how much happier we feel, and how much more secure we feel, and how much better life is. Because that's the truth. When you start flowing with the universe, and you start flowing in the direction that the universe is trying to push you in, or direct you, or is flowing itself, whether it's trying to push you or not, it really doesn't matter. When you start flowing with it, we start relaxing, and we start feeling better, and we start trusting more, and all that kind of stuff. And so because of that, we start generating a real spiritual life, and life is just flat out better. Now, are the 12 steps, is it a religious thing? No, not really, because you can believe in whatever you want. You could believe in whatever higher power you can imagine. It's up to you to envision what your higher power looks like. I don't know what you were brought up with, and I don't know what you believe today. And maybe you're an atheist, or maybe you're agnostic, and you know, okay, I believe there's something there, but I don't really know. It doesn't matter. You know, for some people, just being an atheist, they really struggle with this. But the truth is that just being with a group of people who support you and that you rely on, they are your higher power. And that's why 12-step support groups really work, because you're with people who are, that you can identify with, and then because of that, that enables you to do the hard work that will get you to that step 11, which is the goal, to have that relationship with a higher power. All of the 12 steps, 1 through 12, but primarily 1 through 10, is all about unblocking ourselves from God. Because in the bottom, in the bottom line, in the end, what we do is God is there all the time, or however you call your higher power. He's there all the time. But we stop him from working in our lives because of our focus, because of our needs or desires or beliefs. We get in the way because we're so having to control everything. And because we do all these things, God doesn't get a chance to work in our lives. And so, having that personal relationship with a higher power is really about relaxing and getting out of the way. And that's really it. It's about getting out of the way. So when you get to the 12th step, which tells you to practice all the principles of the steps in every area of your life, and then to get out there and help those who are still needy help, that's the other goal. The other goal in the end is to just live a better life, and then use that you've learned to help other people, because you're not going to be able to keep what you got unless you give it away. In fact, that's the grand paradox of what Bill W. discovered, is that when he's giving away what he knows about his disease of alcoholism, about how it's affected his life, to another alcoholic, he's able to continue to make the choice to not drink for that day, one day at a time. And that's the amazing thing about this thing, is that if you want to stop smoking, or if you just want to manage your money better and you can't seem to get that together, or you just, it's like, there's no such thing as a weak-willed person, in my opinion. We all are who we are. Our will is what it is. It really is how we direct our will. The idea of somebody being weak-willed is actually a myth. It doesn't really exist. The problem with a person who is an alcoholic or a compulsive overeater or whatever they are is that they've got a very strong will, and they want what they want when they want it, and you're not going to let anybody get in the way with it. And what happens is it eventually crosses a line where the physical, the body, is now craving it so strongly that it's influencing everything else, and it just becomes you're in bondage to that thing. But the 12 steps doesn't need to just work on that. It could be on anything. It could be just, I'm just lonely, or I'm frustrated and angry all the time. You don't have to, have a very specific issue in order to use the 12 steps. The 12 steps will work just the same, because it's amazing. Now, one of the more crucial things about working the 12 steps is that you don't do it alone. You do it while you're being guided by somebody else who has done it before, or somebody that is doing it with you. You basically do it with somebody. And if you can get a whole group of people who are doing it, working the steps together, who are all very similar, they all basically share, and you can all identify with each other in terms of whatever the issue is, then you have a support group, and you're all working the steps together, and every day you work the steps, you reach out to each other for support and to help each other and to give it away, give it away. That's so important to do that. Then, you know, after doing it for a whole bunch of months, maybe a year or so, you're going to look back and you're going to realize you're a totally different person today. And that's the amazing thing of the 12 steps. That's why I work the 12 steps. I do it every day. It's not just to keep my addiction or compulsions at bay, though that's important. That's very important. I need to keep that in remission. But it's also because I want to be a better person. Is the 12-step program a cult? Well, some people think that, but the truth of the matter is it's not. It's not a cult, because in a cult, you have to follow whatever the cult leader demands. Okay, you have to follow the core beliefs. In this, you can believe whatever you want. The only thing that you need to do is have a desire to change whatever it is that you need to change, and that you follow the formula. That's not a cult. That's just almost a scientific method. It's just it's almost engineering. Basically, you're following pre-designed steps to becoming a better person. You got to unblock yourself, allow your higher power to work in your life, whatever that is, whether it's a group of people who are just supporting you, or it's truly a version of God that you believe in, that you truly, have utter faith in. I believe in love. I believe in God. God is love, and I believe that everything is of that. And to me, that works. For me, that really truly works. I don't have to control things anymore, because I know that God is in control in my life. And that makes a difference. I'm a better person for it. And I'm continuing to work that to be a better person. Well, that's why I work the 12 steps. It's not a cult. It's not religious. It also doesn't take people away from therapy. You could do it with a therapist, or you could do it in, at the same time as you're working with a therapist. It doesn't stop you from going into hospitals or going to doctors. It doesn't do any of those things. And it's still better than doing nothing. Because if you do nothing, then you're still going to have exactly what you started off with. Okay? It's as simple as that. So if you've got something that bothers you, you may want to look at the 12 steps as a way of helping yourself. There are a lot of really good books out there on it. But I suggest that you read the AA Big Book, okay? And just, replace the word alcoholic and alcohol with whatever it is that you want to change. And then follow the instructions in it, but do it with other people. Because I'm telling you, it makes a difference. And there is no person on the face of the earth who has worked the 12 steps diligently, who's been truly honest, open-minded, and willing, and did it, really, really did it, that didn't come out better on the other end. If somebody naysays it, it's only because they didn't really apply themselves. They didn't really do the 12 steps. They didn't really understand it. I'm not pushing AA or NA or OA or any of those A things. You don't need that. What you need is the 12 steps. It makes a difference. So now over the next couple of months, I'm going to do a bunch more videos on each of the steps individually. And I'm going to start off with step 1. Next week, I'm going to Hilton Head. I will probably do it while I'm there. See you around, and thank you for watching.